Honey, I'll pay the hospital bill. Hurry back to the company, don't let work be delayed. My husband, Russell Scholl, clutched the bank card loaded with $800,000, his words gentle and considerate. Yet, his eyes glinted with the thrill of a scheme already in motion. In my previous life, I had trusted him completely. It never once occurred to me that he would take the money meant to save our daughter's life and conspire with my colleague, Kristen, to frame me for embezzling company funds. I was sentenced to 10 years in prison. In the end, my daughter died in the hospital because we couldn't afford her surgery. Even my parents, unable to withstand the chain of blows, suffered fatal heart attacks and collapsed on the roadside, their bodies left unattended. Now that I had been reborn, hatred surged wildly through me. I wanted nothing more than to kill the scumbag standing before me, the man who abandoned his wife and doomed his own child. But doing so would only condemn me to the same prison-bound tragedy as before. It wasn't worth it. This time, I would make Russell and Kristen Meyer pay in a different way. I tightened my grip on his hand and said with deliberate weight, "Then I'll leave the hospital bill to you, dear. This is our daughter's life-saving money. Make sure you don't transfer it to the wrong account." After all, in my last life, Russell hadn't sent the money to the hospital at all. He had transferred it to another account, one Kristen had arranged. A flicker of unease crossed his eyes. He replied guiltily, "Don't worry. I wouldn't be that careless." I smiled. Good. Then I turned and walked away, the smile vanishing from my face the moment my back was to him. As soon as I left the hospital, I dialed the police with a cold laugh. "Officer, I'd like to report a case. Just 2 minutes ago, I was scammed. $800,000 was transferred out of my account. Please help me track where the money went." $800,000? The officer on the other end immediately grew serious upon hearing the amount and opened a case on the spot. "The transfer was very recent. It's fortunate you reported it in time. We'll do everything we can to recover the funds. If you learn anything, be sure to inform us immediately." I spoke with urgency. Yes. That money is meant for my daughter's surgery and treatment. Thank you for your help." After hanging up, a slow smile spread across my face. I wasn't worried about recovering the money at all. Before long, it would be transferred right back into my account. This had been Russell and Kristen's method of framing me in my previous life. But in this life, I would show them what it meant to be outsmarted by their own cleverness. My phone began ringing insistently. The caller ID showed Kristen. I deliberately didn't answer. I didn't need to think to know what the call was about. Kristen was surely urging me to return to the company, so I could walk straight into the trap they had prepared. I let out a cold laugh and hailed a cab. Instead of going to the company, I headed straight for the lottery center. "Hello. I'm the winner of the $800,000 prize from this morning. I'd like to have a notarized certification of my winnings, please." In my previous life, I had been so anxious to pay for my daughter's surgery that I never got around to having the prize money notarized. By the time I was framed and tried to come back for it, a staff member at the lottery center had already been bribed by Russell and Kristen. They altered the winner's personal information, replacing it with someone else's, leaving me unable to prove that the $800,000 had been legally won. After completing the notarization confirming my identity as the rightful winner, I also asked the staff to print out the transaction records showing the transfer of the prize money. In this life, I would never again give Russell or Kristen even the slightest opening. My phone rang once more. It was Kristen again. With a swipe of my finger, I answered. "Melissa, why haven't you come back to the office yet? Do you have any idea what's happened to the company? Anyway, this has something to do with you. The general manager wants you back immediately." Her voice sounded urgent, but she deliberately avoided explaining what had actually happened. I knew she was trying to make me anxious and confused, so I'd be caught off guard by her trap once I arrived. "All right," I replied lazily. "I'll be there soon." I took my time getting to the office. When I finally arrived, Kristen wore an expression of deep disappointment, her brows furrowed as she said, "Melissa, how could you do something like this? You've been so foolish." I answered coolly, "Stop speaking in riddles. Just say what you mean." She suppressed the triumph in her eyes and deliberately raised her voice. Melissa, you can drop the act. The company has already discovered that you secretly embezzled millions in company funds. The moment she said it, colleagues who had been working quietly looked up at me, shock written all over their faces. My God, Melissa always seemed so honest and hardworking. Who knew she'd have the nerve to do something like this? The company noticed irregularities in the funds last week. I never imagined Melissa would be behind it. You really can't judge a person by appearances. She looked so sincere, but she's this greedy behind the scenes. What did she even do with all that money? Could she be keeping some lover on the side behind her husband and child's back? Who knows? I heard her daughter's sick and needs surgery. Maybe she took the risk for her child. What surgery costs millions? It's obviously for her own selfish desires. Whatever the reason, secretly embezzling company funds is a crime. Someone with such crooked morals deserves prison. Let's just wait and see. Their contemptuous gazes pierced me from all directions, whispers buzzing endlessly around the room. Kristen curled her lips into a smug smile. My expression didn't change in the slightest. I said calmly, I didn't embezzle any funds. I've never done such a thing. Melissa, the evidence is conclusive, and you still dare to lie. I trusted you so much. I was even planning to promote you next week. Is this how you repay the company? The general manager, furious, slammed a thick stack of documents in front of me. I flipped through them one by one and saw records of abnormal fund transfers from the company's financial system. The operator's name and employee number were listed as mine. The most recent entry showed that 10 minutes earlier, $800,000 had been transferred from the company's financial system into a bank account under my name. I took out my phone and logged into my mobile banking app. Sure enough, one of my cards had received an $800,000 deposit just 10 minutes ago. The manager glared at me, his voice brimming with anger. Melissa, what else do you have to say for yourself? My colleague's looks grew even more scornful. The evidence is right there. Let's see how she tries to wriggle out of this. We slave away for this company and only get fixed salaries. How does Melissa get to siphon off so much money to support some lover and live in luxury?